Today we're at the Signet Theater here in San Diego, California with the amazing playwright, Nathan Allen Davis. Welcome to Theater Corner, brother.
Thank you.
It is such a thrill to have you here. There's some exciting things happening around your talents. Why are you here in San Diego?
Well, I'm here to work on my play, The Wind and the Breeze. I played The Wind and the Breeze, which is going to be performed here at Signet Theater, where we are right now.
Right here. So this is kind of special because we're actually on the stage.
We are on the stage,
which is a bridge. What's the significance of the bridge for this piece?
Well, the bridge is the place where the whole play takes place. So it's the main setting, the only setting of the play. It's a bridge that's overlooking the Rock River in Rockford, Illinois, and that's my hometown. And the main character, whose name is Sam, has staked out his spot on the bridge and is not leaving. And the other characters in the play are trying to sort of guide him off or move him along.
So you better be yo, check. When you talk fake accounts, real gangsters take it out. Hit you with the full court press, like I'm in college. Take home on your head, face, take out the numbers. Game is off. Can't even take my instant replay. We'll kick you past the D League on the way back to CBA. You ain't a fast car, you a car crash. My run MIT plus I know I live mad. Calculation concept, 6 feet deep, and say a whole food of meat shit underneath. I'm a sailor, you know what I'm about. Same strip, same whip, I never change my route. Same block, same spot where all my challenges passed out. Oh, look at that! I'm going to get track out unplugged. Automaton freeze, even cordless mics unravel. I'm spitting to this wind and let my rhymes travel as it please.
He's there simply because he's decided that home is where I'm going to be, and he's looking for a spot to watch the 4th of July fireworks. But it's February when the play starts, so he's getting an early start.
All right. So where does the idea come from for this piece? Is it kind of an actual real life experience or something you've observed?
Well, this piece actually is the second play I ever wrote, believe it or not.
Wow.
It's been revised and had many different iterations since I wrote the first draft. I think the first time I dove into it, it was actually because I needed to have more than one play to apply for grad schools. I had decided that I wanted to be a playwright, and I had written one play, but there were some programs that needed 2 plays. I didn't have a whole lot of time to think. I just had to kind of write with my instinct.
Right.
So it began as a kind of a character study. You know, there were 4 characters just talking on a bridge, and it just kind of came to me. And from there, you know, the story and the characters kind of found their way over years of work and workshops and different efforts to try to bring the play to life.
How would you describe the overall theme of it, of this piece?
The overall theme of The Wind and the Breeze is, I don't know. You tell me when you see it. I think it has a lot to do with the idea of what it's like to stay versus leave, what it's your old self versus your new self, who you were versus who you are now versus who you're becoming, and what that means to the people who are closest to you. So your closest friends, your family, you know, we all grow and change and evolve throughout life. And sometimes that brings us closer to people that we love, and sometimes it brings us further apart. So I think the play explores a lot of the nuances of that dynamic.
Okay, and so you've had somewhat of a long-running relationship with the Signet. You've had this piece here before.
Yeah, so this play was done as part of the Bill and Judy Garrett Finish Line Commission, which is a program that the Signet Theater started up, I believe, a couple of years ago. I think this was one of the first plays done with that commission. And Robbie Lutfi, who's directing the play, actually saw an early version of the piece at the Kennedy Center back in 2012. And Robbie and I became friends shortly after that. And he's really been a very staunch advocate for the play since he first saw it. And now he's an associate artistic director here at the Signet, and he wanted to do the play. So it helped to get the commission, and now he's helped to get it produced and is directing it.
This play is really impressing quite a lot of people. I mean, it's already you've received 2 awards for this play, the Blue Ink Playwriting Award in 2016 and the Lorraine Hansberry Award in 2013. Quite impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But also, I saw in American Theater magazine where they named you as one of the 6. This is back in October of last year. They named you one of the 6 theater workers we should know. And I think that's quite a recognition there. What did you think about that when they contacted you, for this particular recognition?
It was cool. I got an email asking for answers to questions about my career and that kind of thing, and saying they wanted to feature me, in the magazine. That was really exciting. So sent the email off, and then I think somehow or another, my mom got a copy of that magazine, just happened to get it that month, because a friend of mine who lives in Rockford had gotten the magazine and showed it to her. So it was really cool, like for my family and stuff like that, to see it. Yeah.
That's cool. That's really awesome. So since you've been here in San Diego this weekend and had a chance to sit in on the rehearsal, has there been much revision at all, or you think there's a bit of changing along the way? I mean, these things do evolve.
They do, right? And sometimes it's not until you see it in 3 dimensions that you really know what you need to do.
Right.
We actually were able to start rehearsal kind of early because Milwaukee Repertory Theater did a workshop or a reading of the play just before rehearsal started here at Signet. Milwaukee Rep flew the actors in as well, and Robbie and myself. So all of us got to be in the room together, and I did a few tweaks there. I'm considering doing a couple other changes, but because this play has been worked on quite a bit over the years, there's not a ton that I'm eager to do.
Right.
I think sometimes you have to know when you just trust what's there and give the actors a chance to live in what's there, and sometimes you don't know until after you really see a full production with an audience what really might be done next.
Exactly.
So I think play is always unfinished until you decide it is.
Right. That's the way it goes. So I'm really excited that you're working with a wonderful friend of mine, the director, Patricia McGregor. Incredible talent. The piece is the Refuge Plays. It's a series. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the Refuge Plays is a series of 3 plays. The first play is called Protect the Beautiful Place. The second play is called Walking Man, and the third play is called Early's House. And the plays span about 60 years. They center around a sort of eccentric, mystically inclined Black family that lives in Southern Illinois. And it's really a lot about generational connectedness. It's about a lot of things. It's about family, it's about legacy, it's about how do you sort of create a space in the world where you feel safe. I think when I first wrote it, I was thinking a lot about just what is it like to raise children in this world that we live in, and how do you simultaneously protect them and shelter them from all the chaos that's around us, and tell them the truth. So I think when I wrote the first draft, a lot of those things were going through my head, and Patricia directed an early reading of the plays, and she really connected really immediately to those themes. I think they really resonated with her as well. So it's been great. Working with her has been a dream. I mean, she's amazing. I think the plays have really evolved a lot under her direction, and we're continuing to work on them towards hopefully production in the near future.
That is so awesome. And this is, at one point when it is produced, that would be at which theater? Is there a theater designated sometime in the future? Or?
Well, right now the plays are under commission from the Public Theater, and the Public Theater and the McCarter Theater have been working with us really closely on development. So
Okay.
we're seeing that through and hoping to have it staged soon.
Awesome. I'm always curious, you know, people that have this incredible innate talent like you have, you know, when did you kind of recognize that you've had this knack to be like this incredible wordsmith that you are?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I wrote a lot of poetry growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I reached a point where poetry in and of itself wasn't satisfying me, or I was hitting a wall in terms of that it wasn't quite the medium that I was meant to write in. And I also was an actor, and I hit a wall as an actor as well. Part of that coincided with becoming a father and having children, and then not being able to really be a vagabond the way that actors need to be. So I actually had a bit of an existential crisis when I was in my early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. And I was working a full-time job, and I was acting, and I was like, you know what, I think I need to slow down for a second. And when I asked myself, what is it that I really want to do with my life, it was very clear that I wanted to write plays. Mm-hmm. And I had been trying to write plays since probably my early 20s, really, but it never really became a thing that I felt like I needed to do until I faced that kind of crisis in my own life.
Okay.
And so when I decided this is what I'm doing, I never really looked back. Even though I didn't have a lot of experience writing plays before I did it, because how can you? I think I felt like this is something I can do. I believed it was possible. So I wrote. I kind of took my experience in acting and in theater and my training in theater that I had acquired over the years and applied that to the writing, and I read books and I read plays, and eventually I was able to write a play and then another one, and then from there it just sort of happened.
And it's just taking off.
It's taking off, as they say. Sure.
Yeah, that's cool. There was one thing I was really curious about. It struck me as I was reading your artist statement, and I want to read this particular part of your artist statement.
Sure.
And you wrote that I am a playwright of mixed race. The African diaspora and the Western tradition are both essential parts of my identity. I do not forsake one for the other. I let them collide, support and invigorate each other. And the reason why it struck me, because you are Baha'i faith. It's similar, it parallels in the sense that the Baha'i is a religion teaching the essential worth of all religions and the unity and equality of all people. And I was wondering if part of your faith kind of informs the statement that you make, or kind of guides you along in your work.
Definitely. I mean, that's sort of who I am and where I've come from. I think that the conflict between cultures and the sort of innate difficulty of being mixed race and having to sort of straddle more than one world.
Right.
I mean, I think that actually, to be honest, is a thing that people of African descent have to deal with no matter what, no matter where they are, because we're often in a culture that is dominated by somebody else, right? And so how do you identify with your roots and then also navigate this world that you're in? So, I think that that's something that's just been with me for my entire life. I think the idea of creating a just world that people can actually coexist with each other and actually support each other and live in unity is a very difficult thing. But I think we can't even begin to do that until we've reckoned with our past and reckoned with the injustices that are informing our present and that we're perpetuating in the present, that have really ancient roots. So I think a lot of my writing is centered around that, at how do you reconcile this irreconcilable problem? You really can't. But to sort of try to tell the truth and to write about it can at least shine a light on what's happening, and hopefully a little bit of guidance on how might we begin to solve it. How do we look at things in a different perspective? I think the theater is uniquely situated to actually teach in that way, to show us a different way of thinking, even if it's momentary, even if it's only a fleeting moment, there's this possibility in a room to show people a different reality and to show it in action. And so that's why I love theater, and that's why I write.
That's beautiful. I really love that. That's that's fascinating.
Thanks.
So you're in LA right now, doing some writing for television, yeah?
That's right. I'm working on a new show called American Soul, which is going to be on BET. And it's a show that's about Soul Train and Don Cornelius, who is the founder and was the host of Soul Train.
Right.
And so the show is not exactly biographical, but it does pull directly from his life and his story, and features the Soul Train dancers as characters, fictionalized versions of the dancers. And so it kind of delves into that whole world of Soul Train, which was the first black television show to have kind of nationwide syndication in that way.
Right.
And yeah, it's quite exciting.
Man, that's going to be cool. That's because I'm one that from that generation. I always watch it Soul Train, every weekend. That was really cool. That's where you learned all the what the latest dances
Exactly.
were. You tuned in. What's the biggest shock to your system going from New York to LA?
Well, the biggest shock is just being there, being away from my family, away from my kids.
Yeah.
Working essentially a 9-to-5 type of job.
Okay.
As a theater artist, I'm working random hours. I'm teaching. I'm doing random things, but having a steady, here you're at work. Now you're done with work. Now you have your weekend. It's a different reality that I've been living for the past few years. So
very cool. Before you leave us, maybe you can tell us about what you have coming up.
Sure. Well, I have a play called Origin Story, which is going to be produced at Water Tower Theater, which is in Addison, Texas, in the Dallas area, in summer of 2019. So essentially one summer from this coming summer, that's happening in the works. So it'll be a while, but that's the next play that I have that's going to be produced. It's a play that is sort of a comedy in a way. It deals with the workplace and a person who is having a difficulty navigating two jobs and figuring out what's really going on, like what is the purpose of this work that kind of feels mundane and meaningless. And it's a lot of very interesting and almost impossible things happen, so it should be interesting.
Awesome. What's this, your play now, The Wind and the Breeze? It's going from May 16th to June 10th. Would viewers be able to meet you here on opening night?
I will be here on opening night. I will be here.
I'm really looking forward to seeing it myself. It sounds like a really interesting, really deep play. It sounds quite exciting. I want to wish you the best. I really appreciate you coming by and sitting down with a brother here on Theater Corner. And I'm going to be watching out for the products you produce. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in to another episode of Theater Corner, and we'll see you next time.